Next, we're going to have Todd Boyle.
Well, here we are in a church. I was born in a Catholic family with 10 kids in Chicago, and I put in a lot of time in churches and Catholic schools before I was at the age of reason. I haven't been to church in 40 years, but I have to tell you my religious belief that a person shouldn't kill other people for money or other vicious reasons like that. And I have to apologize to all you for my minority view, which is obviously a minority view in the United States here. It puts me in deep conflict with the moral and religious beliefs of most Americans. So I also apologize, it probably embarrasses the VFP sometimes, you know. As a religious fundamentalist, I'm simply not interested in other people's opinions and viewpoints on this issue of killing people for money. And so another one of my fundamentalist beliefs is that moral values isn't something that you should subordinate to whatever the government says, politics, or what the business community thinks, or ideas like democracy. Like, for example, you know, a majority of voters re-elected Bush apparently in 2004 after his mass murders. And I'm still totally opposed to the killing of hundreds of thousands of people for money, as the Bush administration did by invading Iraq. Now, I don't take my spiritual and moral guidance from the government, and I don't take it from the newspapers, the TV, and I don't take it from church pastors. Killing is immoral, as far as I'm concerned. They're all Philistines and vandals, and they're accomplices to murder. Every war since at least World War II has not been self-defense. This country has attacked and killed millions of completely innocent people in Korea and Vietnam and again in Iraq. So on a lighter vein, you know, I wrote something here. It was written by Bill Hicks. He was a great comedian. He died in 1994 or something like that. He only lived to his 30s. And he did long routines on drugs and psychedelic drugs and alcohol and stuff. So here's from Bill Hicks. He was talking about after he was on drugs. I laid in a field of green grass for 4 hours, going, my God, I love everything. The heavens parted, God looked down and rained gifts of forgiveness onto my being, healing me on every level, psychically, physically, and emotionally. And I realized our true nature is spirit, not body. And we are eternal beings, and God's love is unconditional. And there's nothing we can ever do to change that. It's only our illusion that we are separate from God, or that we are alone. And in reality, we are one with God. And He loves us. Now, isn't that a hazard to this country? Do you see my point? How are we going to continue to build nuclear weapons? You know what I mean? What's going to happen to the arms industry when we realize that we're all one? It's going to fuck up the economy. The economy that's fake anyway, which would be a real bummer, you know. So you can see why the government is cracking down on the idea of experiencing unconditional love. Now, this guy was great, wasn't he? So to be a dissident, anyway, it puts you outside the accepted range of opinion. This is inherently in being a dissident, you know. The ideas of militarism and empire are so firmly established that anything we say by definition is going to be unacceptable. 90% of the Americans deeply, unquestionably honor the military, the police, American supremacy. Their belief is not a natural condition, but it came out after many decades of indoctrination by institutions of mass culture. So we have to take back those institutions of mass culture. That's the pulpit, the schools, and the media. And this is done by taking the war people out of those positions of influence and replacing them. Because those people are not generally going to change, and that's where they are right now, and so it's time for them to go. In this activism, the unit of activism is one. Nobody works to oppose war unless they have strong beliefs, unless they have fervor. There's no money in this, and you don't get social approval. As Gar Alperovitz says, to play in this game of changing the world, the poker chips are decades of your life. So one last story. You know, we started Washington Truth and Recruiting 5 years ago because, you know, if we wore VFP shirts, then we had a hard time getting access into the schools. And so we did, you know, go on for several years, and we actually got into 10 or 20 schools in various degrees. We had some effects. But meanwhile, Youth Against War and Racism made a huge ruckus in many demonstrations. They had 1,000 people out on the streets. They chased recruiters out of Seattle Central. Got national media. They attended and chanted in Seattle school board meetings for about a year in numbers from 20 to 50. And they finally limited the access by recruiters. They had fervor, you know what I mean? And Seattle now has the tightest restrictions in the country, as far as I can see, on recruiters in the school. They got all kinds of red tape. So I got a lesson from this, you know, and I have that lesson to share with the pragmatic wing of the CR movement and with the Veterans for Peace. Conventional kind of recruiting and peace work is not even pragmatic, because at the end of this process, it just ends up making recruits better consumers and making us more conciliatory and makes counselors better informed. And if you don't have the fervor, you lose the moral element, then you're going to lose the activists who have moral fervor. Thank you.